Do you own a blue collar business? Are you doing well? Have you had a couple years under your belt and now you've got these things called profits? What do you do with the money that you make in your business? Well, if you're not thinking about real estate, maybe this is a chance for you to think through real estate as a wealth builder for the profits that you make in your blue collar business. I'm Mike Stansbury. I own a company called Mem Fixer Upper in Memphis, Tennessee. I've been flipping houses since 2008, but one of the things I love to do is teach and train other people how to flip houses. In my market as well, I love to teach blue collar businesses, guys that work for me, that they can do this too, to build wealth. So let's get ready. Let's show you just how to do it. All right, guys, let's get down to it. So we have blue collar business. You could be a plumber, you could be a landscaper, you could be a framer, HVAC guy. It really doesn't matter. But one of the things you have is you have a special skill set. You know how to do that thing, or you may have people that know how to do HVAC. Let me tell you something, as a flipper, I don't know how to do HVAC. I don't know how to paint. I don't know how to frame, but I do know the people that do know how to do that. You guys want to know, how do I flip houses? Well, I'm about to teach you exactly what to do when you have profits, what you should do with those profits, and that's invest in real estate. So first, I want you to flip a house. I want you to take the time to figure out how to do this, and I'm gonna show you step by step on how I would do it if I were in your shoes. So the first thing you do is, let's say that you made $30,000 in profits in 2024. Now you have a couple options. You can save it, you can spend it, you can invest it in the stock market, you can do all sorts of things with it. But why real estate? It's gonna give you better returns if you know how to mitigate risk. And that's what flipping houses and investing in real estate is all about. So you take your blue collar business profits, and let's say you have $30,000 to invest, okay? Now what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to take all $30,000 and put it in one house. That would be a little risky, so risk averse. So let's say you've got your profits of $30,000, but you have a house that you can buy for $100,000, okay, in an as-is condition, but it's worth $200,000. Now, Mike, how do I buy a $100,000 house or a $200,000 house that I can buy for $100,000? Well, I do it every month. I buy 4 to 5 houses under retail value that these properties need fixing up. They need a value add. This is something that I do every day. I find houses that are undervalued because they're in disrepair. There's a story, maybe a cat lady that had 18 cats in the house. It may be somebody that passed away, somebody inherited the house, and there's just so many things to do to that house in order to get to the market value. And so when I tell you that you can buy a $200,000 house for $100,000, I do it every day. And how you would find these houses is you'd work through your realtor, your wholesaler, or you would start marketing it for yourself. You as a blue collar business, you probably already have a group of people that you've helped before in the past, some of your customers, and maybe they have a house that they can sell you, or they know somebody that has a house in disrepair like that. But let's talk about actually the nuts and bolts of flipping the house. Let's say you get the house for $100,000, you've got $30,000 to invest. So what I would suggest you do is that you'd get a loan. And how do I get a loan these days to buy the $100,000 house? Well, that is the easy question to answer if you have the right property. So when you have a property that you bought for 50% of the value, the money will come. You can use hard money lenders. You can use somebody like Kiavi that would finance 90% of the loan and also 90% of the improvements on the property. That's what it pays to be a blue collar business, because you have access to labor and material that guys like me don't have. So you're able to leverage your skill set to get even more value from the flip. So let's talk about it. Let's tell you how to do it step by step. So again, you want to keep the $30,000. When you have profits, the first thing to do is protect the principal. So let's just take 33% of this and say I want 10 grand to do the deal. So I have $10,000 that I can do the deal. That means you keep $20,000 in a savings account or wherever you keep your profit account. But you've got this to invest. But Mike, I need $100,000. Where do I get the 90 from? Somebody like Kiavi or an RCN, and that information about who can lend to you will be down in the show notes below. But if you get the property at the right price, they will lend you the $90,000 to get the property. But Mike, what about I need to improve the property? I need $30,000 to make it look like a $200,000 house. Well, again, some of these national lenders will actually lend you 90% of that money to do the flip. And so this is where your special skill set comes in. So what normally would cost me $30,000 to flip the house, okay? So now I'm in for 10,000, 90, 100, 130. So I'm in for 130,000, okay? That's what it would cost me to do it as a regular flipper. But since you're in the blue collar business and you can control the labor a little bit, you may be able to get this done. You may be able to get this $30,000 improvement down to 20, 18, 22, just depending on the skill set that you have. So this is why blue collar businesses should always be looking into flipping houses, at least 1 or 2 a year, because you've got something that the normal flipper doesn't have. You've got access to labor, and you've got access to the ability to do things less expensive than the normal guy. So let's recap. So we have a house that after the repairs is going to be worth $200,000. That's what we call the ARV, the after repair value. Okay, we bought it for $100K, which is that's a great deal. I spent $30,000 on the improvements, but you spent 20 because you're in the blue collar trades. You're able to get the labor. You're able to trade with your other blue collar friends in order to get this done less expensive. I've seen it done so many times. I've helped my blue collar friends do this where my costs are way higher than their costs because you've got that superpower. You've got that advantage and you need to take advantage of it. So now you're all in at $120,000. All right, so Mike, what happens when we sell it for $200,000? Well, there always is cost involved, right? We'd love to all make $80,000 on a house, but when you sell a house, there's costs. There's real estate costs, there's realtor costs, there's closing costs. Sometimes when they have what they call inspectors come in, it's not so fun. Even though you know you did a great job, inspectors got to do their job. They got to find little things that you need to fix to make sure that their that they didn't waste their money becoming building inspectors. So I do this all the time. I think my house is 100% perfect, but I know because I've flipped so many houses that inspectors are coming in and they're just looking for something, and they've got to justify their existence as inspectors. So they're going to find something. So there's also the cost, again, to take care of those issues. And so what I always tell people is $200,000, you always want a worst case scenario, times that by 0.09%. And that 0.09% is going to tell you what your costs are to sell the property. Worst case scenario. So that's a pretty penny. That ends up being $18,000. And that's going to include your real estate fees and any other things associated with it. Is it always 9%? No. For me, it's closer to 5 or 6%. But I always like my guys to prepare for worst case scenario, and that's worst case scenario. So again, you bought the house for 200. You're selling the house for 200. You bought it for 100. You spent 20, and then there's another $18,000 in fees, worst case scenario fees. So now you're in it for that's $38,000. What's $200,000 minus $138,000? Well, guys, everybody, it's $62,000. Now, does that happen all the time? No, but we profit. We try to profit at least 30% of the value of the house. And here we did a little bit above that. So sometimes you want a minimum of 30%. So the formula for buying a house is this. This is for everybody. This is not just for blue collar. This is for guys like me. These are guys that are beginning to flip houses and the guys that are seasoned. It's the same thing. It's a formula. So I've just showed you what you can do to make profit and what to supercharge your profit. But Mike, what formula do I use when I want to buy the house? And it is this, ARV. ARV, again, is after repair value. And let's say, again, that house is worth, we're going to use that same number again, $200,000, right? That's what the house is worth after all the repairs are done. So what we do is we times this by 0.7, okay? What that is that then is $140,000, okay? So ARV is $200,000 times 0.7. Now minus, well, let's say the repairs are $40,000. Let's say that we walk through the property, right? And we said the paint, the carpet, the new cabinets, we may have to do a remodel in the master bathroom to make this updated. Hot water heater is 20 years old and need a new one of those. HVAC is 18. Well, $20,000 may get the lipstick, but you got $20,000 worth of systems that you have to replace. So let's say that it's $40,000 to get all those items completed so you have a house that's ready to go on the market. So 140 minus 40, easy number for me, 100,000, okay? So the maximum amount of money that you can offer on this house is $100,000. And if you do that, then you're going to be profitable because you make your money when you buy. So again, you've got a blue collar business and you're doing well and you're starting to make some profit. You're paying for your home expenses, but now you're starting to build wealth. What do you do with that wealth? Well, we just laid out exactly one of the ways to make wealth, and that's to flip houses. And flipping houses does two things. It helps supercharge your profits. And the other thing is it's very easier. It's a lot more easy for a blue collar business to do this because you're already in the trades. You know other trades. The hardest part is going to be finding the deal, but there's ways to do that. And then we talked about, hey, how do I fund these deals? Well, you've got different national companies that are ready and willing to fund your deals, and their information is down below. So we've got all the questions answered. But if you just think about this, if I flip 1 or 2 houses a year, just 1 or 2, what could I do with my profits? Well, again, we said that you started out making $30,000. You were able to keep that from your blue collar business. You took $10,000 of that and you flipped one house. And that one house we showed you made $63,000 in profit. So your $10,000 made $63,000. And that's just with one house. Now tell me, did that supercharge your profits? And should you be flipping at least one house a year? Hey guys, I know you got some value from this. Comment below, I'd love to hear from you. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, subscribe below.